The squad car's lights flashed red and blue, casting shadows across my cabin's porch as two officers stepped onto the gravel, their boots crunching sharply. A woman stood by the fence, her voice shrill, accusing me of breaking into my own home. "He's dangerous," she cried, clutching the wood like a lifeline, her guests sipping wine and smirking behind her. My blood boiled, but I held steady. This was my land, my sanctuary, and no one was going to steal it with lies. Every nail, every board, every tree I'd planted was mine, yet here I was, treated like an intruder. The crowd's whispers grew, phones recording, waiting for my downfall. I reached for my ID, hands trembling not from fear but from the sting of humiliation. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was a calculated move by someone who thought she could rewrite my rights. The officers approached, one adjusting his belt, eyeing me with suspicion, while the other listened to the woman's theatrical claims. "He showed up uninvited, scaring us all," she wailed, her voice carrying over the lake. I wanted to laugh, but anger anchored me. This cabin was mine, years of sweat and memories etched into its frame. I handed over my ID, locking eyes with her. "You sure you want them to run my name?" Her smirk faltered, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. She didn't know what was coming, but I did. The officers typed into their tablet, the crowd's chatter fading as the truth loomed closer. The woman leaned toward the cops, her voice a loud whisper. "He's been lurking around before. He's a threat." Her guests nodded, raising glasses as if this was entertainment. My fists clenched, but I stayed calm, knowing patience would unravel her lies faster than any outburst. The taller officer squinted at my ID, then at the tablet screen, his brow furrowing. He turned to his partner, their exchange silent but heavy. "Sir," he said, voice steady, "it says here you're the registered owner of this cabin." The crowd's laughter froze, glasses hovering midair. Her eyes widened, but she forced a smile. "Oh no, that's wrong," she stammered. "I'm with the Homeowners Association. This property's under our rules." My jaw tightened. There was no HOA here. I'd made sure of that when I bought the land. "You forged your way in and threw parties in my house," I said, my voice cutting through her facade. Guests shifted uncomfortably, one muttering, "Wait, this isn't her place?" Her face flushed red, her confidence cracking like thin ice. She screamed, "Don't believe him. He's dangerous." But the officers weren't swayed, their focus now on her faltering story. The shorter officer pulled me aside, his tone low. "Sir, we found something else in the system." My curiosity piqued as he continued. "Military service, special operations. You're listed as decorated." The woman's mouth hung open, her bravado crumbling as whispers rippled through the crowd. The taller cop spoke louder, for all to hear. "Ma'am, you called him dangerous. You're right, he's dangerous to lawbreakers. He's a veteran and the rightful owner." Her hands shook against the fence, her victim act dissolving. The guests leaned back, sensing the shift in power. She tried to recover, shrieking, "He's lying. He faked those records." But her voice trembled, and the crowd's faith in her waned. I stood taller, letting the weight of my service and the truth of my ownership sink in, silencing her accusations. I reached into my bag, pulling out a black hard drive, her eyes widening in fear. "Security footage," I said coldly. "Every corner of this cabin is wired. I saw you unlock my doors, pour drinks in my kitchen, laugh about me never finding out." Gasps erupted from the guests, their smug grins fading. "You're bluffing," she whispered, voice cracking. I smiled. "Am I? I can play it for the officers." The shorter cop stepped forward. "If that's true, this is trespassing and fraud." Her knees buckled, but she gripped the table, desperation clinging to her crumbling authority. The officers took the drive, plugging it into their system. The screen lit up, showing her unlocking my door, waving in guests like she owned the place. A woman at the table gasped, "You said this was your house." The crowd's outrage grew, her lies exposed in vivid detail. The footage shifted, showing her taping a fake HOA notice on my door, signing it with a fabricated title. The officers froze the frame, her handwriting clear as day. "This is forgery," the shorter cop said coldly. "And if you've been collecting money under false authority, that's another charge." She shrieked, "That footage is fake." But the guests turned on her. One snapped, "You conned us all." Her hands trembled, a wine glass shattering as she tried to act casual. The crowd's support vanished, leaving her alone in her web of deceit. She spun to the guests, pleading, "You know me. I run this neighborhood." But no one nodded. The taller officer crossed his arms. Safe from what? A veteran in his own home. Her lies collapsed, the truth cutting through like a blade, leaving her exposed. In a final act of desperation, she bolted toward the dock, heels clattering, screaming, "You'll regret this." The guests shouted for her to stop, but the shorter cop caught her, cuffs clicking into place. Her fight drained, her voice a hollow echo over the water. I crossed my arms, whispering, "Game's over." The guests dispersed, some muttering apologies, others cursing her name. The smug man who'd laughed earlier stormed off, muttering, "She dragged us into this mess." The air cleared, the weight of her tyranny lifting. The taller cop turned to me, respectful but firm. "We'll need a statement tomorrow, but she's not coming back tonight." I nodded, a small smile breaking through. My home was mine again, reclaimed not by force, but by the unyielding truth. As the patrol car rolled away, a neighbor approached, her voice soft. "We're sorry." She acted like she had all the power. I shook my head. That's what people like her do, shout loud, wave fake rules, hope no one questions them. "The truth," I said, "just needs to be seen." The abandoned table stood littered with broken glass and spilled wine, a testament to her fallen empire. The lake's gentle lapping filled the silence, the cabin's familiar creak welcoming me as I opened the door. The crowd dispersed, their whispers carrying a new story, one of justice. I ran a hand along the table I'd built, the pine scent grounding me. "Home," I whispered, locking the door. The night was quiet, the weight of the fight gone. The neighbors would talk for years about the woman who played queen and the veteran who brought her down. Standing on my porch, I watched the last of the patrol car's lights fade into the trees. This wasn't just about reclaiming my cabin, it was about standing against those who wield false power to control and deceive. Her lies had crumbled under the weight of evidence and truth, exposing her to the community she'd manipulated. The silence of the lake and the glow of my porch lantern felt like victory. I hadn't fought for this country to be pushed off my own land. The neighbors' shame and newfound unity promised a future free from such tyranny. Truth doesn't need to shout, it stands firm, and so did I, knowing my home was mine forever.